You really want to be different with your money, and you've been running your brain in circles, thinking of all of the ways that you could be saving your money. When you try to do those things, you feel like you can never stick with them for very long. And it all just seems so impossible for you. And you can't quite figure out what it is. And it just makes you feel like giving up and saying, whatever, why do I even bother? But before you give up and go back to watching your paycheck just flutter away and feeling like you don't have much to show for it, I want you to listen to these 4 common thought patterns that could potentially be what is keeping you in that I'm always going to be broke mindset. And in turn, holding you back from seeing that, hey, yes, maybe you can have more than $23 at the end of the week. Number 1, you think that it's not quite enough. When I was a teenager, I remember that my best friend received a car for her 16th birthday. And while I was happy for her, I thought to myself, if only I had a car, then I wouldn't have to walk to work anymore. Then when I got my first car a couple years later, I thought to myself, I'd really love to have a car that doesn't leak power steering fluid and then make this horrible screeching noise when it all leaked out. Then with my next car, it was, I wish I didn't have to drive a 5-speed anymore because that's a real pain in the ass. Then when I got my automatic car, my next thought was, I really wish that I could get a brand new car, one that comes with a warranty. And on it goes. Can you think back to having these same types of conversations with yourself? I bet that you can. If only I made X amount of dollars, then I wouldn't have to worry about bills any longer. If only my house had nicer furniture, then it would feel more comfortable to me. Our definition of enough is a constant and ever expanding idea. And apparently we are all wired that way. Of course we are, right? It is that annoying dopamine hit that always has us looking for that feeling of satisfaction that we can never quite reach. So if all of our brains are wired this way, what can we even do about it? How can you possibly counteract that and just know that you actually do have enough? First, I want you to try to remember that no matter what it is that you want, there is always, and I mean always, some sort of trade-off that goes with whatever it is that we want. Here are a couple of examples. I want a bigger house because we are a growing family and we need the space. That means a higher mortgage payment, more insurance, a lot more maintenance to keep up with it, more windows to replace, more walls to paint, more floors to mop, more square footage to heat in the winter and cool in the summer, more things to break that will possibly end up costing you more than you can really afford. I want to go on an actual vacation every year because I work for that time off and I at least deserve that. Then I have to choose a destination, get my family or partner to agree on that destination, let my boss know and make sure that the days I want off will work, look for the place to stay, buy a plane ticket, maybe even have to get a passport, deal with the airport, the people at the airports, the rental car check-in, the other guests at the resort, the ones that get up super early before the crack of dawn and drop beach towels on the lawn chairs so they get first dibs. So just taking that pause to evaluate whatever the want is that you have, they all come with a trade-off, and remembering what the actual cost is. That can definitely minimize that really strong desire that you originally started off with. Another really great way to remind yourself that you have enough is to remember where you came from. To be grateful with where you are now and what you currently have. It has always been beneficial for me personally to remember the hard times that I have already experienced in my life. When I think back and recall how difficult things used to be for me at certain points of my life and how far I have come since then, it becomes really hard not to be grateful for the home that I already have everything that's in it, my very reliable and paid off car, the clothes I already own. So next time you think that you really want something, just repeat this mantra: I already have enough. Number 2, you think that change is scary. No matter how far in debt you are, no matter what your current income is, different circumstances and a better experience will always be available to you. The hard part is deciding that you are willing to make the changes that would be necessary to get to that different outcome or better experience. Change can be smaller things that you've been putting off, even though deep down you know that the rewards would be really worth it to you. And that could be things like waking up earlier because you just always feel so rushed and know that you could use a little more time in your day. Changing what time you go to bed because you just always feel so tired. Changing those little daily habits like reading a book instead of watching Netflix, drinking a protein shake instead of having that glass of wine, taking the vitamins, going to the gym, putting down the phone. Or change can be big things like changing your circle. Maybe your current circle just doesn't align with how you picture your future, and you've been feeling like certain people may be holding you back. Changing your job because you know that they are not paying you what you're worth, and they probably never will. Changing your location because it's just become too expensive to live where you are, and maintaining the bills each month is just proving to become more and more difficult for you. Big changes, small changes, they all count. Not liking a change that is disrupting our daily routine is totally normal. However, when fear of change is causing you to do things like self-sabotage, and then you're delaying making decisions or not taking any action at all, or maybe you feel so anxious about the unknown that you just always expect the worst outcome, I want you to tell yourself, hey, I can do this. And just start to look at change as an opportunity to grow and be more resilient and adaptable in the future, as opposed to looking at change as some sort of threat. More time in your day, having energy, a circle that lifts you up, finally reading that book and taking your vitamins. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And then when those smaller things do take hold, you're going to naturally have more confidence in yourself, and you'll start to just put yourself out there for those bigger changes that you know you need to make. Things like looking for that higher paying job that you know you actually deserve, by the way. And then on the lighter side of being okay with some changes, these little adjustments to the way that you've been doing things, maybe even for years, and just looking for some new alternatives can also save you some money. If you've been using bottled water, try a filtered pitcher. If you are still using disposable paper towels, try using the Swedish dishcloths instead. I recently started using these and I absolutely love them. The amount of disposable paper towels that I have cut back on, it's unbelievable, you guys. Totally try out these dishcloths. Swedish dishcloths. Got it. You could even cut up old clothing like t-shirts, and reusable paper towels are another great option. If you're used to always throwing your clothes into the dryer, try a drying rack. If you don't have a drying rack, just hang them over a chair or hang them up in your shower. I personally am always looking for new ways to save time and save my money. So after watching this video, if you think of anything really good that you do or use to save money or time, please share it in the comments for the rest of us to read and learn from. Change is basically just admitting that we don't know everything and that we certainly don't have all the answers, but it's also a chance to do better. So be okay with it. You'll be glad that you did. Number 3, you think convenience is so worth it. Convenience items have become so commonplace that we may not realize how much more these things are costing us. And even if we do realize how much more they're costing us, we would still rather just let someone else deal with the hard work. Today's consumers are more likely to make purchasing decisions based on how easy and quick the process is, rather than solely on the price of the product. Does that sound familiar? Things like pre-cut produce, meat that has already been cut and marinated for you, 100-calorie snack bags, bagged lettuce, bottled water, detergent pods, K-cup disposable coffee pods, even a birthday cake from the bakery. According to a Morgan Stanley study that surveyed 2,000 US consumers, more than half of consumers are likely to pay more for a product or service when it offers that substantial degree of convenience. 300% markup for a bakery cake when we can make one ourselves for just a few bucks? Or what about how much we depend on and spend with services like house cleaners, car washes, lawn care, pest control, pet groomers, nail salons, hair salons, and those food services like Instacart, DoorDash, or Uber Eats? Restaurant food and beverages are marked up anywhere between 60 all the way up to 500%. We want fast and free shipping. We want our favorite music on demand. We want those top-rated TV shows and movies uninterrupted, and we want our food delivered to our front doorstep. Just seeing those percentage markups on the screen of some of those grocery items will hopefully get you to start wanting to save your money and start to let go of as many of those convenience foods as possible. Cut your own produce, bake your own birthday cakes, get that filtered pitcher, separate those snacks into reusable baggies. Just start doing anything you can for yourself one by one, and you'll start to see your checking account grow. I personally, in this past year, I have cut out my lash appointments, my nail appointments, and my hair appointments completely. And the savings on my time and money has been huge. Now, I'm not saying to stop doing things that make you feel good about yourself. If you can afford it, great. And honestly, I can afford it. But if you're like me and you're just sick of paying those premium prices for things that you can easily do yourself, just give it a try. Start with one and see how it goes. Now, my husband, he has also cut out going to the barber shop, and for his haircuts, we've been using this set of $40 clippers that I got off of Sally's Beauty Supply. We've been using these since 2020, and for the price of one cut, they have paid for themselves. Not to mention the time he got back. He used to go twice a month, every other weekend, and sometimes he would be gone all morning just waiting for a chair, even with an appointment. And as for me, these scissors have been doing the job. Another idea to save on some services is to maybe trade or swap jobs with family or friends. When I was newly divorced and suddenly a single mom, I was not able to pay for that high cost of childcare immediately. So my best friend would watch my daughter in the evenings while I was working as a server. And the trade-off was that I would pick up both of our daughters from school and drop them off to her. And I cleaned her house every weekend from top to bottom. Then, when I was ready to start working days, which didn't take long, maybe a few months, my father-in-law asked me how much her aftercare was, and he then actually offered me the same arrangement. He paid for the aftercare, and I cleaned his house and did his laundry every Wednesday after work. They hated cleaning, and I hated paying for daycare. So what are you good at? What areas are your family and friends good at? In a time when everyone is just feeling so squeezed, let's help each other out. Number 4, you think that what you already have isn't that great. When something isn't new anymore, it can lose its luster. It is not as fresh, it's not as pristine, not as shiny anymore. And in addition to your stuff losing its appeal, is that the good feeling, that dopamine hit that we get from buying something new to replace it with is only momentary. Momentary. A study done by a financial research team found that 77% of global consumers bought something to lift their mood within the past month, but only 42% of consumers thought that they could actually afford that purchase. So we are buying things that we know we can't afford to lift our mood momentarily. And we have already heard all of the reasons that we do this, right? We compare ourselves to others. We're influenced by advertising and marketing. We might be trying to fill a void of some sort. Maybe we're sad or bored. I personally think that it's because buying has just become way too easy. Whatever the reason is for the buying, in the end, it's just too easy. We can buy laying in bed, sitting in the car, on our 30-minute lunch break. It's just always accessible. And again, how are we supposed to combat this? We can buy whatever we want, when we want, and the feel good from it only lasts a moment. So obviously, we're just going to keep doing it. How do we get out of that cycle? I have laser focus on quality over quantity, things that will bring me more lasting enjoyment. I can walk through any store, Target, Home Goods, Ulta, and see 100 things that I want and still walk out with nothing, completely unfazed. I have been out shopping with my friends, my daughters, my sister, and they'll be like, "You're not getting anything?" Nope. Things that we have spent on lately are some new palm trees for the backyard, pieces of vintage furniture for the house, a chariot for our dog who can't walk very far. And this to me is not stuff. All of these items will bring us lasting enjoyment. And then when it comes to items that I already have that maybe aren't so new and awesome anymore, instead of running out and buying brand new when it's lost that initial luster, I will look for ways to make it new again. Repainting, recovering, cleaning them, repairing them, just updating them in any way are all ways that you can keep what you already have appealing to you. Last weekend, I repainted my bathroom walls, and instead of replacing this cabinet that had a drawer that would not close, I repainted it and used a small magnet that cost $2 to repair it. I added some cute new hardware and I completely love it again. We have repainted our patio floor. We recovered the patio chair cushions and gave our outside space a whole new refreshed look. Reorganizing, decluttering, and cleaning are all free things to do and can make your home feel totally fresh again. Instead of buying new bath towels, adding a half a cup of vinegar in your fabric softener dispenser eliminates the residue and gives towels back their fluff. Instead of buying a new phone, you can just replace the cracked screen protector, put a new wallpaper for your background, pop on a new cover, and you'll feel like you have a brand new phone. Instead of buying a new couch, you can just update your throw pillow covers. Instead of buying new shoes, just find out what you need to clean, whatever material they might be, and make them look new again. You can Google how to update, refresh, or repair anything and everything, and now you will know that little trick for life. And start to think of experiences over possessions. I get a lot of comments on almost every video that I make about getting out of debt or how to stop putting things on your credit cards, where people will say, "I have to go on my annual family vacation," or "My family reunion always costs me more than I have. My parents are elderly and I have to visit them, but I have to fly out and see my grandkids." And my first reaction, the thought that crosses my mind as soon as I read one of those comments is, if you stop buying the stuff that we just talked about, the new phones, shoes, home decor, whatever it is, if you can just stop justifying all of those purchases, then you would be much more prepared for your annual family reunion. You wouldn't be putting your vacation on credit, and you could visit your parents or your grandkids without paying any interest. Now, I'm not going to sit here and waste your time by telling you all of the different ways that spending time with your family and friends is much more valuable than any material things. So I will just gently remind you instead to think about them and all of the fun things that you could do together when you are about to run through Target's beauty section with your Starbucks iced coffee in your hand. Maybe that money can be set aside for your family reunion this year instead. I hope that all of these gentle reminders were helpful to you in resetting how you will look at what you already own, how you can embrace change more into your daily routines, and start placing your hard-earned money into areas that will better serve the future you. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button so that others will be able to see it too. I feel like you might be feeling motivated to making some changes. So I bet you would like this video that's coming up next. And here we will go over 5 things you can start right now that will help you even more in sticking with your changes.